Good evening and welcome to Newswatch tonight. Hoping you had a lovely day. You're just in time for Newswatch. My name is Melissa Oduor. On the sign language tonight is Boniface Mureithi. Newswatch begins now. President William Ruto has assured Kenyans of the country's economic stability and pledged to ensure that the nation would not be overwhelmed by debts. Addressing the press after the second National Executive Retreat in Naivasha, Nakuru County, President Ruto emphasized that Kenya is not facing the threat of being overwhelmed by debts, highlighting the nation's removal from the list of countries at risk of debt default. And as Grace Ahati reports, the head of state noted that the country has successfully settled a significant portion of its 2014 Eurobonds, demonstrating financial stability and prudent debt management practices.
Kenya has successfully removed itself from the list of countries at risk of debt default. This is according to President William Ruto, who has assured citizens that the country's economy is stable, further promising that the nation will not be overwhelmed by debts. President Ruto delivered this message during a press briefing in Naivasha, Nakuru County, following the conclusion of a three-day National Executive Retreat in the region. He highlighted that a significant financial achievement was reached yesterday when Kenya completed the buyback of a substantial portion of the $2 billion 2014 Euro bonds, which were set to mature on June 24, 2024. This comes after the country paid $1.5 billion on 12th February 2024 towards this endeavor.
I can now confidently say Kenya is no longer in the list of the countries that run the risk of debt default, thanks to the collective effort that has been done by my team at the Treasury and by the whole of government approach that has seen us cut down on many aspects of spending, make sure that we reduce the accumulation of expensive debt.
Ruto credited this positive development to the effective implementation of sound debt management practices and policies, emphasizing that the government has adopted various strategies such as diversifying financing sources, maintaining a low cost of debt, and ensuring debt sustainability at all times.
As a consequence of our commitment to sound debt management strategy, fiscal and general economic management policies, and the tightening of our monetary policy by the Central Bank of Kenya, investor confidence has been significantly enhanced, resulting in the appreciation of the Kenya shilling against the US dollar from an average of 162 shillings to an average of 142 shillings at the moment. In turn, this has reduced our overall debt by Kenya shillings 722 billion.
As a result of this progress, the president has declared that Kenya's economy is on a trajectory that will create more jobs and more wealth, finance investment in public goods and services, and usher this nation into an era of inclusive growth.
The successful turnaround has pulled Kenya away from the brink of debt distress, put our finances in good working order, and established the necessary conditions to execute the bottom-up economic transformation agenda on a sound footing. Consequently, our economy is on a trajectory that will create more jobs and more wealth, finance investment in goods and services, and usher this nation into the era of inclusive growth.
It is worth noting that Kenya's debt levels have been a cause of concern in recent years, with the country's public debt reaching record highs. However, this new milestone indicates a positive development for the country's economy. Reporting for Hope TV Newswatch, I'm Grace Ahati. Reporting for Hope TV Newswatch, I'm Grace Ahati.
Thank you, Grace, for that report. The National Council of Churches of Kenya, NCCK, has challenged school heads across the country to prioritize provision of healthy meals in schools as one way to curb non-communicable diseases. Speaking after the two-day forum to review the prevalence, trends, and the impact of NDC among adolescents, Nairobi Region NCCK Chairman Reverend Alphonse Kanga noted that the council is working to promote development and implementation of policies aimed at streamlining the procurement of food in all schools. As Gloria Musimbi reports, the government has been challenged to take stern action against perpetrators involved in sexual assault cases on minors and children abduction.
The National Council of Churches of Kenya (NCCK) held a stakeholders forum in Limuru to review the prevalence, trends and impact of non-communicable diseases among adolescents in Kenya. NCCK has called upon the national government and county governments across the country to expand the school feeding programs to all schools in the country, while recommending the need for collaboration between the Ministries of Health and Education on this undertaking.
We urge that nutritionalists be appointed at the sub-county level with mandates to work with the schools to ensure that they serve food to learners that is healthy and relevant to socio-cultural settings. There may be need for collaboration between the Ministries of Health and Education on this undertaking. We further urge that the government displays this concern for the welfare of the learners by expanding the school feeding programs to all schools. The children that are economically, our country economically challenged areas, the same arid areas, those children need to be included and be provided for according to what we have in the nation.
According to the council, major contributors of high prevalence of NCDs among students are high cost of foodstuffs, weak implementation of existing laws and guidelines on nutrition, cultural practices, poverty, among others. In efforts to promote development and implementation of policies aimed at streamlining the procurement of food in all schools, NCCK expressed their commitment to use their platforms to form committees to offer civic education and create awareness on NDCs.
There should be no child in Kenya that will go to bed hungry when other children are eating. So as Christians, either this committee need to bring us as Christians, as religious people all over, we need to take care of our children. And even our religious communities, they also need to set up committees to make sure that our children are eating food.
And following the recent reported cases of sexual assault on minors and children abduction, NCCK has urged the government and security departments to take stern action against the perpetrators.
Local governments within different structures, we urge the government to be able to set up those committees to make sure that our children are well taken care of. The security of our children is paramount. Some of these things are happening because of the culture where we are morally, the moral decay of our nation. But we as NCCK, as we urge the government just need to come up. The police department, they need to set up the children departments that will be able to make sure that our children will not find themselves in those situations.
Parents and religious leaders have been urged to create safe spaces for youths to air out their challenges so as to be guided appropriately.
The people with a very key role are the parents. The parents need to embrace positive parenting. They need to have more time with their own children and discuss matters that pertain to adolescence. The other category of people are the religious leaders. The religious leaders need to create a platform within their religious circles to ensure that the youth have an opportunity to air out some of the things that they're going through so that they can be guided appropriately.
Reporting for OpTV Newswatch, I'm Gloria Musimbi.
Now, Kenyans have joined the world in celebrating the International Mother Language Day. This year's theme for the International Mother Language Day is a multilingual education, a pillar of learning and intergenerational learning. Multilingual and multicultural societies thrive through the preservation of their languages, which serve as conduits for traditional knowledge and cultural heritage. Now, the celebrations come even as statistics show that 250 million children and young people still do not attend school, and 763 million adults are yet to master basic literacy skills. According to UNESCO, 40% of children do not have access to education in their mother tongue, leaving a negative impact on their learning in a world where multilingual education is not an option. Speaking with Hope TV, a cross-section of Kenyans said they are proud of their mother tongue, sounding an alarm to the Kenyans who are yet to embrace their mother languages. Prime Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi, who is also the CS for Foreign and Diaspora Affairs, is in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, for the 36th Joint Ministerial Commissioning JMC meeting. The Prime CS is expected to chair the JMC meeting with his counterpart Ambassador Tay Selassie between the two countries. A dispatch from his office said there will be signing of several agreements just to strengthen the bilateral relations between Kenya and Ethiopia. Abigail Namude with that story.
Prime Cabinet Secretary and CS for Foreign and Diaspora Affairs Musalia Mudavadi has arrived in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia for the 36th Joint Ministerial Commission meeting. The Prime CS is expected to co-chair the GMC meeting with his counterpart Ambassador Tay Selassie between Ethiopia and Kenya. A dispatch from Mudavadi's office said there will be signing of several agreements just to strengthen the bilateral relations between Kenya and Ethiopia. The GMC meeting kicked off on Monday in Addis Ababa and exempting Ethiopians from paying $30 fee requirement of foreigners seeking electronic travel authorization to Kenya as one of the key issues agreed upon. Bacha Debele Buta, Ethiopia's ambassador to Kenya, made announcements that Ethiopia citizens can visit Kenya freely. However, he added that those seeking approval must comply by filling in the mandatory electronic travel authorization forms to access the country. The Prime CS also attended the 44th ordinary session of the African Union's Executive Council last week in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. Reporting for Hope TV Newswatch, I'm Abigail Namude.
And a section of elders from Bere in Embu County who are claiming ownership of the controversial 44,000-acre Mwea settlement scheme land have opposed calls by the government to settle the disputes through the Alternative Dispute Resolution ADR. Embu County Commissioner Jack Oduor had indicated a month ago during a public baraza at Makima Market that they are exploring ways of ending the decade-long old land tussle, pitting various groups claiming ownership through dialogue. However, the calls did not go down well with the elders from the Ngome clan who claim they are the bona fide owners of the land and were already in possession of title deeds. The elders said no dialogue can be done on land that had already been adjudicated and title deeds issued. Elias Panjiro with more.
The Bere elders, led by their chairman Benson Kanyenji, said they will not entertain or take part in any form of alternative dispute resolution ADR that is set to discuss how to divide the land whose title has been issued and due process followed. He said the only dialogue that can take place is one between the owner of a particular parcel and the one in legal occupation on how to vacate. Kanyenji said those who are in occupation have dragged them in court with unending cases and stated that if they were interested in amicable solution, they could have settled on ADR before going to court.
Hakuna sababu yoyote ambaye imezuia watu waingie kule, isipokuwa kwamba sisi tuwapenda amani, utulivu, upole wetu umechukuliwa kwa msaha na wale wako pande ile wako kwa mashamba, naye serikali ile inatakiwa iwe katikati bila kugemea upande wowote. Inaonekana tayari shachukua mkondo wake.
On his part, Joseph Dhiga, who is the chairman of the beneficiaries, accused some of the politicians from the area of inciting those in occupation to oppose any attempt to evict them, claiming they also have ownership rights through adverse possession. He accused the government of sidelining them and giving some of the illegal occupation more attention. Dhiga said it had proven difficult for them to occupy their parcel owing to the animosity created among the occupants against them to extent they can hardly step their feet in the area. They have called on the government to settle them once and for all, since most of them were aging while others had died, having not enjoyed their inheritance.
Ile mashamba iko ni mashamba ya watu binafsi, na ndio tunaomba serikali, kwa sababu tunaona serikali kama inatupagua, kwa sababu inasikiza wale hawana title, na sisi wenye title hawatuiti ndio tusikie vile maoni yao.
Area leader Genesio Mugo, who is also the chair of the local Kenya Dairy Board, said it was unfortunate that the ADR proposal had to incorporate all parties. He also appealed the county commissioner and the rest of the team leading the process to bring all parties on board to have fairness in the discussion regarding the Mwea tussle.
Hiyo ADR imeproposiwa ni vizuri, ndio watu waongee pamoja, lakini pia ningeongezea niseme to the county commissioner and the rest of the people leading the process, akuwezekani kuwa na NDR ya watu pande moja bila wale wako na title. Kwa hivyo ADR lazima ilete include wale wako na title na wale wengine wamekaa kwa mashamba, all of them must be represented equally. Na hiyo ikifanyika, then kutakuwa na fairness katika discussion ya mambo ya Mwea.
Mavuria Ward MCA Ngari Mbaka said he was behind the elders in their push to secure their land.
Sisi kama viongozi ama mimi kama kiongozi naelewa ya kwamba hiyo mashamba ya Mwea iko na wenyewe, na wenyewe ni sisi. Na ile kitu tunasema ya kwamba kuna watu wanaenda wakisema ya kwamba ati wale wako na title deeds za hapa kutoka upande wa mbele hawana mashamba Mwea. Nataka kusema ya kwamba tunajua tuko na title na mashamba ya Mwea kama ni yetu tutaenda huko. Na sisi kama viongozi tunasema ya kwamba tutasimama na wananchi mpaka waende wapate haki yao.
Reporting for Hope TV Newswatch, my name is Nelias Wanjiru.
And the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions has obtained an order suspending any further proceedings touching on the 30 million shilling graft case facing former Kenya Pipeline Managing Director Charles Tanui. Senior Assistant Director for Public Prosecutions Alexander Muteti told Magistrate Victor Wahumile that they had obtained a High Court order on Tuesday suspending the case. This comes 3 days after the Magistrates Court had earlier declined their application to withdraw the case. The matter was slotted for hearing tomorrow, Thursday. The Magistrates Court confirmed it had received the order of the High Court and subsequently suspended the hearing pending the outcome of the High Court application. And Hakizimana Gervais, the late coach of late world marathon runner Kelvin Kiptum, has been laid to rest today at Rusororo Cemetery in Kigali, Rwanda. The funeral proceedings for Hakizimana, which commenced yesterday, concluded today with a burial service. Friends and relatives had the opportunity to view the body and bid farewell to Hakizimana this morning. Afterwards, a mass was held at the St. Pierre et Paul Massacre until noon, whereafter Hakizimana was laid to rest. Hakizimana perished in a road accident in the same vehicle with Kelvin Kiptum as they drove to Elgeyo Marakwet last Sunday. Kate and Diego with that report.
Born in Nyaruguru District, Southern Province in Rwanda, Hakizimana initially pursued athletics with the APR Athletics Club before transitioning to coaching in 2008. He scouted talent internationally, including in France and Kenya, where he discovered Kelvin Kiptum. Hakizimana's life was cut short in a fatal road accident 2 Sundays ago. An autopsy conducted by Dr. Benson Masharia revealed that Hakizimana had suffered a head injury leading to his untimely death. The burial ceremony held today at Rusororo Cemetery in Kigali, Rwanda, loved ones shared heartfelt condolences for the beloved. His sister, Sandrine Hakizimana, described him as a loving, God-fearing, and hardworking individual and thanked the Kenyan government for their kindness and continuous support.
He wanted Kiptum to run 102, so he told me, Mama Liana, please, I beg you, give me time. I want to go and put all the I will not be able to see you maybe until April.
Yashakaga kuba yatuma Kiptum aba umuntu ukomeye urenze aho ari, ashaka ko bakora imyitozo myinshi cyane. Arambwira ati Mama Jeve nyihanganira mu gihe kugira ngo mbashe kuba natunganya ibyo nshaka gukora mu kazi kanjye.
He told me, I'm doing this for you.
Ati ndi kubikorera kuri wowe.
I'm doing this for our daughter.
Ndi kubikorera wowe ndetse ndi kubikorera n'umukobwa wacu.
I'm doing this for Kolazo, the one who has given me the job.
He
told me, I want to make Kenya proud, I want to make Rwanda proud, and also I want to make the world proud.
In addition, Kizimana's in-laws and representatives from Kenya offered their condolences to the grieving family. Among those present were the Deputy Director of Sports and representatives from the Kenyan Commission in Rwanda. Kenyan Cabinet Secretary for Youth Affairs, Sports and Arts, Ababuna Mwamba, was also in attendance and conveyed his condolences. He also presented President William Ruto's condolences to the bereaved family. He revealed that the government has donated 5 million shillings, equivalent to 44 million Rwandan francs, to support the family during this difficult moment.
Kiptum had just become the first human being to run the marathon below 2 hours and 1 minute.
Kiptum yabaye umuntu wa mbere ushobora kuba yakirukanga marathon munsi y'amasaha 2.
And Hakizimana had just become the youngest coach to to break a world record.
rero Hakizimana aba n'umutoza muto wabashije gutuma ibyo bintu bigaragara ku isi.
It was really a collabo made in heaven.
Ni byari ibintu byateguwe n'Imana.
And observing the two young men,
abagabo babiri rero,
Kiptum and Hakizimana,
n'umukoci we,
you could see that this was not just a coach and an athlete.
wari kubona ko ntago ari umutoza usanzwe.
They were brothers.
Ahubwo bari bameze nk'abavandimwe.
They were brothers in life,
bari abavandimwe mu buzima bwo hano ku isi,
as they are brothers in death.
This is as plans are near completion for the burial of Kelvin Kiptum at his home in Elgeyo Marakwet this weekend. Reporting for Hope TV Newswatch, my name is Kate Andiego. Born in Nyaruguru district, southern.
So this parent calls me, sits after service and says, "Young man, you do not know what you've done," because it tells me that my son comes and tells me that, "Dad, I have also been struggling with ABCD. His was a mix of alcohol and pornography. And just hearing Justo on Route 104, I feel a young person like me give his testimony on how God has moved in his life." And I requested to meet the young man, and we met over coffee, became good friends. And I told him as well, listen, by me sharing does not mean, because the devil puts banana peels all over. Now, scripture tells us that, no weapon fashioned against you shall prosper. It doesn't say that weapons will not be fashioned. No, it says no weapon. It means weapons will be fashioned. And he will put traps all over. Right from your phone. You open Instagram, you see an image. And all of a sudden, it plays back. All those things. So that's another, because the battle is in the mind. That is why Paul says in Romans 12:1, not be conformed by the patterns of the world, but rather be transformed by the renewing of the mind. He knows it's here. The devil knows. And this guy is millions of years old. He's not our age mate. For those who remember when I used to tell us that on night, he's not your age mate. Stop saying that, me, I know, and you have been saved for 15 years. Dude, the devil has been in existence for millions of years. So guess what? He knows everything about you. Okay? But greater is he that is in you than he was in the world. We walked together, and I'm happy to say that he found his deliverance. And he became also a peer champion, as it is, an educator. And for me, those are some of the things that, wow, without Hope FM, really the platform of Hope FM, as Reverend Tomboy used to tell us as well, this is a platform not for you, but God is using you. The initiative Friends of Hope is more or less like what Romans 10:17 says, that faith comes only by the hearing, and hearing through the word of God. But how will they hear if somebody does not go to tell them? Think about that Muslim brother or sister who, because of you being a friend of hope and supporting with your 100 bob or whatever it is, that in Friday evening, by chance, they listen to Yesu Ndianjia. And then because of you supporting and being a friend of hope, the message will reach them in Zanzibar, in Mombasa, in whatever it is. Mimi ni Rafiki Mso. I'm a friend of hope. I'm just as Awaka. I would like for you pia ukwe Rafiki Mso.
We're back with business now. Following glaring discrepancies in the amounts collected and paid as royalties to Kenyan musicians and artists, the Kenya Copyright Board, KECOBO, has now directed the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission, EACC, and the Director of Criminal Investigations, DCI, to move in and investigate the three collective management organizations, namely the Music Copyright Society of Kenya, MCSK, the Performers' Rights Society of Kenya, PRISC, and the Kenya Association of Music Producers, CAMP, over glaring discrepancies in the amounts of collections from broadcasting sector, poor collection and payment of royalties to artists. According to KECOBO Chairman Joshua Kutuni, all the societies did not set aside royalties from collections in quarter 2, 3, and 4 of last year, despite improved business environment. Kutuni says the CMOs were unable to have distributed at least 173 million shillings, or 70% of their collection, as per the copyright regulations. He revealed a list of top 15 artists who were paid the least amounts in royalties, even as artists from some regions like the Coast, Nyanza and Central were underrepresented or left out completely from the payment of royalties. Kutunyi is proposing the collection of royalties be done through e-Citizen to close the gaps.
I also want to put it very clear that upon inquiry and upon going through all the documents by my board, then the board made recommendations and directed that these matters be handed over to EACC, MCSK matters to be handed over to EACC and DCI for investigation to account for the missing 56 million that they cannot account, which was supposed to go for the artist. Two, also, EACC and DCI will also ask MCSK why disparity in distribution, where artists from other regions were not included in the list. And then thirdly, where did the rest of the money go for the artist? An artist who was supposed to get 4.5 million is given 750,000. Where did the rest of the money? We also want EACC and DCI to tell us why the directors were paid. Are they artists? Because you find also the highest people who've been paid as artists are the directors in MCSK.
And the government has unveiled plans to significantly reduce the importation of food products in the country, aiming to cut imports by 50% within the next 5 years and ultimately achieve a 100% reduction within a decade. Addressing the press in Naivasha, Nakuru County, President William Ruto highlighted the substantial resources currently being allocated to importing food items, resulting in increased costs. The president emphasized the potential benefits of producing food locally, both for farmers and the nation as a whole, further reiterating his administration's commitment to lowering food costs amidst the challenging economic conditions faced by Kenyans.
The 500 billion US dollars, the 500 billion Kenya shillings we spend every year to import food into Kenya will only go down the day we produce that food in Kenya. That is the step we are making, and we have made a commitment as a government that we want to reduce imports by 50% in the next 5 years and by 100% in 10 years, so that in 10 years we will not be importing edible oil, we will not be importing sugar, we will not be importing maize or all the other food items. And if we are, we will be having a commensurate export of all the other products to cover up for any deficits in our foreign exchange. So we are having a whole of government approach in tackling the challenges that face our country. And it is that collective effort that you see us spend 3 days here to align our legislature so that they understand why we will be going to them with a certain budget structured in a certain way, because we have goals that we need to achieve, both as a government, but as a country as well.
And to lessons from the entrepreneur tonight, the unfortunate loss encountered by businesses can be best managed by securing them from such eventualities. Today we delve into the discussions on what measures we can have in place to ensure our businesses face risks and disasters better. With me is Adelaide Odhiambo, the Executive Director of Blue Wave Insurance Agency. Welcome to the set tonight.
Thank you.
We talk insurance.
Yes, let's talk insurance.
Insuring our businesses. I don't know. How is our uptake in Kenya? Are we receptive to the whole business insuring of our businesses? Really?
Unfortunately, just leave alone businesses. Insurance in general has a very low uptake in the continent.
across the globe, across the continent rather, insurance uptake is still below 2% of the GDP, meaning that we have a humongous population that still are underinsured. Most of this, the bulk of those were insured actually in Southern Africa. But if you look at East Africa, the statistics is just the same. It's glaring, less than 3% overall. So insurance uptake is something that still requires quite a lot of incentivization. There's still a lot of information, misconceptions about what insurance really is. And that's why the uptake has been really low overall.
So that's when it comes to personal insurance. So we talk about business insurance. Is that a different story? Is it even worse there?
It is a lot worse. It's a lot worse in business because if we're at least specifically targeting or talking about the SME segment, most of these are small business owners, and they'll assume that insurance is only taken by the huge factories. There's the risk only falls with those who are maybe doing and running the bigger businesses. And they forget that even at their own level, insurance is very, very necessary and important for safeguarding their business.
But it's because we think insurance is very costly. When you think of insurance, you're thinking, it's going to charge me so much. But I need that money to grow my business. It's just starting. Talk about that. Is that a misconception as well?
A huge misconception. The idea that insurance is only for the rich is a huge misconception and an unfortunate one, because I would say, in fact, those who are wealthier, bigger factories have had a lot more time to amass their profits. They have a lot more buffers. They have bigger ways to safeguard their profits in different kind of investment arms. But as a small business, you are more likely to suffer a big financial shock when your business goes down due to risk events. So they are, I would say, in my own opinion, are the ones who need it the most to ensure that there is sustainability and growth, and that the insurable risks are not really the shocks that force them to shut down. Which is an unfortunate thing many times.
So how do we look at it for me to decide at this point? I have started my business it's been about a year now. Is that a good time for me to start thinking insurance?
You start thinking insurance before you set up your business.
Thinking backwards.
You work right from the start. When you're putting your business plan together, when you're thinking about capital, when you're thinking about location, think insurance, because insurance covers you from the point when you pay your premium. You can walk out of your building, you've safeguarded, you've stocked up, you've put everything, and a small fire lights up your entire stock that you've saved for years to come. So when you're building your business case, when you're putting your plans in place for insurance, for your business, insurance has got to be at the top of the list, for safeguarding your business altogether.
So we think about fires. Right now, I think the most rampant thing that's actually disturbing a lot of businesses. Think about stalls at toy markets and Gikomba. What would be your advice for people who have such vendors who are running such stalls?
You bring a really good point. We have been insuring some of our clients in Gikomba market. We have insured some of our clients at toy market especially. And at first, it was really challenging because the products, most of the insurance companies at first would say, you know what, this is a class 3 or class 4 risk because it's not the structures are not in like full cement, they're not built of stone. How is the roofing material, which can really trigger a shock, a fire event faster. But we put together a group of these business owners, and we came together, and the pooling of numbers gives them a lot more insurance, like what is called a critical mass. So when there's a critical mass, you find that you have a much bigger say on controlling the premiums and even the product altogether. You might find that if you walk to any insurance company on your own, maybe a toy market vendor with just a small kiosk, you walk into any of the insurance companies, there's a very high likelihood that you're very high risk because you're an outlier. They might even suspect that you're probably trying to trigger a risk event to make a claim. But when there's a population, there's a critical mass that gets very exciting because now we are covering a larger base of people and the risk is distributed. That means you'll share better premium and you have a better chance of getting cover.
So then what I'm understanding is that it's better for a cover for like a market space than for your stall in some isolated place.
Yes. One, the premium will be very expensive. And then two, when you're together, you'll get an advantage of numbers, you'll get an advantage of service as well, because you'll find the insurance company will actually dedicate a lot more time to ensure that the different elements that
cater for your needs are taken care of. You might find that you are only worrying about your particular store and safeguarding your stock.
Yeah.
But there could be other risks that are not, that are outliers beyond that, you know, health-wise, there could be risk events, even for example, maybe illegal structures and things like that. So you'll find that when you're together, it creates a much better insurable interest for the insurance company. And what is surprising is some of the premiums are quite affordable. Like some of our clients at Toy Market were covering their stock worth maybe 500,000, 1 million for a year, and the premiums were coming to about 6,000, 7,000 shillings per year.
Hold up, not 20,000.
Oh, not 30, 50,000, 60,000. No. We're looking at premiums that are below 10,000. And should a risk event like a fire, in some cases like in a market, because we cannot really fully quantify the security for burglary, you might find that we may do away with some risks, particularly just to make the product a lot more appealing to the customers from a cost perspective. So be ready even for less than 10,000 shillings. Actually get your stock insured completely and get that peace of mind that you really need and deserve.
So that if I'm insured for fire, for example, and then the protesters come and break into my shop, how do they go about that?
So you'll find that there's some triggers that are not also insured. There's some. You might find that there are some clauses that that eliminate or exclude political risks, or they might require you to actually add political risks as a rider.
So,
so you find that the premium without political risks is maybe 6,000 shillings, for example. But they might ask you to add maybe 3,000 shillings on top in case of a political trigger. So you'll find that these products they really shoot in interest at a time when maybe, let's say now 2027. Between 2026, you'll find that many people will start looking for fire policies which have political violence built into it. And with the surges of the issues we had, the campaign season that we had last year, most businesses that had actually safeguarded themselves with the fire with the built-in political violence policy really were on the safe side. So you really literally have safeguarding your business and at an affordable way.
So is it better? Is it easier? I don't know if it's easier. Is easier the right word? But is it different when you're covering for goods compared to services?
Now,
how do you go about that?
So goods stock, businesses are classified at different levels at where they are, location, the nature at which the building where the goods are, for instance, they're classified differently. Now, there are some classes of goods that are insured very differently because they are maybe highly inflammable. Factories, let's assume factories that manufacture mattresses. Their class and their underwriting is how we try to quantify the value of the risk that you're going to be covered, be very different. And now that brings me back to the toy market trader. We can now say that if this population of toy market, in fact, if toy market has, let's say, 1,000 traders, we can very easily quantum that as one scheme and one policy and make premiums very affordable and easy instead of going to cherry pick. You're selling shoes, you're selling devices, you're selling clothes, you're selling childwear and cotton and whatever. So there are all different ways that we look at insurance depending on the goods and services, but sometimes also we look at that quantum of where the place is. So you'll find like Gikomba, most of those traders have loans, have microfinance loans that they have taken out to be able to
capital, expand their business, that kind of thing.
The beauty with some of the insurance policies now is they have what is called an enhanced credit life. So when you're taking your loan facility or your capital to actually safeguard, to purchase capital for your stock, they can also add a rider which actually covers your business to some extent. So there's a lot of innovation in a sense, not really innovation, it's been there for quite a while, but there's a lot of things that are spreading across. So be curious when you're taking up a loan facility. Demand to know if there's an opportunity for you to maybe even just increase your loan repayments a little bit, but cater for a wider scope in regards to insuring your people. See if they can cater for increasing your limit just a little bit, but safeguarding yourself with some of the more compliant insurance policies, you know, like WIBA, which is a mandatory requirement.
Yeah, yeah.
And for the services, you mentioned something to do with the services,
Yes.
so that we don't just focus on the traders
goods,
alone.
yes.
There are services, the people who maybe law firms, they have doctors, you have dentists, and you also have a big risk because one small mistake, one small liability in a lawsuit can actually wipe out your client and you can be sued for that. Doctors sometimes have made errors during surgeries. They are running a small practice, a few doctors in it, and one lawsuit can wipe them out completely. So you go for services that can also cater for you, take care of your employees and cater for the integrity of your business, such that such risks do not push you out of business completely. Those are called like professional indemnity, which are added into the policy.
So is it different when you're insuring businesses, for example, traders who are doing, you know, vending and here and there, and those in the agribusiness sector? Because, you know, they're taking care of, you know, crops and they're taking care of animals and that kind of thing. Talk about that a bit.
So there's a lot of diversity in insurance.
Okay.
They're all different. They're called different classes. They're called classes of business. So agribusiness is a whole class of business on its own.
Okay.
Dealing with crops, dealing with droughts, dealing with the high intense heat wave that we're experiencing now. That was perhaps not predicted on the tables a few years ago. You'll find that some people maybe are experiencing shocks now. They have grown, small-scale farmers especially, and who are rain-based. They depend on rain. And when there's been a lot of fluctuations, especially in Kenya. In the last year, the rains have been coming at a very different time. So you planted your seeds, and 1-2 months down the line, there was no rain, and the seed was completely destroyed. So weather-based policies are treated differently. We take years and years of weather data, and we simulate that, and we can be able to see triggers of when specific things will happen. What's really interesting is in the livestock space now, there's a lot of the very innovative products as well. You're keeping a brood of chicken, you have 1,000 chicken, 2,000 chicken. We all know how sensitive chicken can be. Those can be wiped out overnight with some crazy
in one instance,
flu.
Yes,
so we have now products for that as well. So even if you're a small-scale trader and you're in the agribusiness space, there are products. Now the beauty, again, it's still the same with associations.
Okay.
Insurance is all about numbers and that pooling of risks together. So the closer you are to an association, the closer you are to a group of people dealing with the same space that you are in, the better you get an advantage.
Awesome.
But there are definitely products. Green, there's a lot of a big boost on greenhouses now. There's lots of greenhouse insurance that can either protect you from your anticipated profits. Now, the beauty with greenhouses, it's very predictable. Because the environment is very controlled, so even disease and weather, they don't get really affected. So you'll find that I expect to make $1 million shillings every 3 months out of my tomato greenhouse. And you can insure that. Insure that for maybe something in the range of about 15,000. And that can guarantee you that no matter what, your profits would have been 1 million, you will get your 1 million. And the like. So insurance is diverse in that sense. You look at crops, you look at life. We have not even started touching on life and health. You could be running your small business and a health shock. Not just yours, even your mother's.
And employees in there, right?
Or your child. And then you find yourself now going back into your business profits or your capital to be able to cater for those. So take care of your business holistically. It's not as scary in a premium as you'd imagine, and insurance is certainly not just for the rich.
But when it comes to claims is where everybody starts rocking their heads, because claims becomes a huge mountain.
Unfortunately.
What is it that makes the whole claims system become so difficult? When you need the money, you need it.
Fortunately, I would say, post-COVID, a lot of things went digital, and really a lot of the processes had to be done remotely because people couldn't congregate to sit and look at paperwork and process that. So a lot of these claims processes to actually even reduce claims fraud is another whole monkey on its own. And it's known that almost 80% of Africans who have had insurance and have had a negative experience with insurance. So they've ever heard of somebody who ever didn't get a claim paid. Insurance was always known to have the very complicated jargon. There was never enough time for people to really understand what their policy clauses were. So I think the claims issue always starts with understanding the policy And that's where a lot of the focus has always been bypassed. Most of us, I'm an agent myself. I want to make that sale and I want to make it really quickly.
Yes, and not explain the dotted lines.
Dotted line. But there are lots of advancements really in the insurance space that using technology, using AI, using blockchain to be able to improve even the claims process. We have trends now where you don't wait to make a claim. A trigger just occurs. There's a fire in this place, and we can geomap that fire, and we just pay your claim at a go.
Wow.
Or you buy a home insurance policy, and the moment you put a lodge with the police that there was a burglary, you don't even need to explain what you had in your house. You just need to say, I've been robbed, and the value of what you're supposed to be paid should be paid. So there's a lot of that is being demystified now due to technology, but it is true there was a huge problem with claims fraud or prolonged unnecessary claim process periods, which makes the population really, really anti-insurance altogether.
So as we wrap up this conversation, probably one of the 1, 2, 3s that you can say for any business that is setting up before they take up an insurance. What should be the 1, 2, 3s that they should have in place and in mind?
So in mind, generally think about your health, think about your business and your stock. As I said, it's not as scary in regards to premium. When you're planning where you're going to set up your business, when you're planning where you're going, how much capital you need, you need to put in mind insurance as well. So that has got to be part of your strategic plan. It has to be part of your business case and your business plan to have insurance built in. Because as I said, you will set up today and there can be a fire tomorrow. You can set up today and you'll be robbed by your own employees tomorrow. And there are insurance policies that can also cater for that. So what you need to do is, one, think about your health. Your health and your well-being is paramount. If you cannot wake up and go to work or run the next day, you cannot afford to go to hospital to get treated, your business is not going to run. Secondly, you need to ensure that you have planned for insurance, plan for any eventuality so that you can leave the worrying about those risks to the insurance company. And you focus on being now fully driven. Now, another thing is some things cannot be fully insured. Like, you know, there's some catastrophic events that even if you had the most sophisticated insurance policy, might not safeguard you. So business continuity plans go beyond just the risk insurance only. So build in processes, build in a business continuity plan in place to ensure that your data is safeguarded, that you can be able to restock appropriately in areas where insurance will just return you to where you were before you know before the risk event occurs. But there's some other nitty-gritties like data losses, etc., that you might need to recover, and many times they come at a cost, and you need to have that taken care of as well.
Well, this conversation can go on and on. There's so much to learn about you know, insuring our businesses, but as Adelaide has just told us, it is important we must take that bold step and insure our businesses. Thank you so much from the Executive Director of Blue Wave Insurance Agency for making time to come and speak to us as entrepreneurs on how to ensure that our businesses are insured. Thank you for that. We will take a short break and then we will be right back with the day's sports news.
You, the listener, are the reason why we go on air. You, the friend of hope, are the reason why hope is alive. You have helped us take hope across the country and to the rest of the world. Through your giving, we have been on air for 18 years and witnessed many people coming to the Lord. Through your giving, we have expanded our reach to 3 new regions, namely Kisii, Nyeri, and Meru. Through your giving, we have expanded our reach to an international audience through DSTV and GoTV platforms. Thank you for your sacrifice and generosity toward this great initiative. As we continue spreading hope to the other unreached regions in Kenya, you are invited to be part of the Friends of Hope through a contribution of any amount via M-Pesa Paybill 933933, account name FOH. Friends of Hope, keeping hope alive. God bless you.
Hope TV is where you look and live, with an excellent selection of the best Christian programming consisting of local and international content of inspirational stories, talk shows, Bible commentary, youth, health shows, children entertainment, contemporary gospel music, extended times of worship, live broadcast, news, movies, drama, Christian ministry programs, and so much more. Hope TV is another quality service from Christ is the Answer Ministries with over 45% of authentic and credible local content every week. Hope TV is a sister station to Hope FM, Kenya's leading Christian radio station with footprints across the country. Tune in to Hope TV, where you look and live.
I've actually been trying to find a balance. It's been really tough and hectic, but everyone says once you get a hang of it, it becomes better, and I don't know, but I'm hoping to find a balance soon because it's really been hectic. But you've been in the job industry for a long time, so I think you would know better. Sindio?
Huh? What time is it? I need to catch up on Leadership Forum. Do they have a radio here? Never mind. I brought my own.
No way. You can't be serious. Wait, why do you have a radio and you can just catch up with the shows on Hope FM podcasts?
Really? Even Meet of the One?
Yeah. I mean, you can find them on whatever platform, name it. AfriPods, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, you name it.
But I'm not subscribed on any of them.
So no worries. You can just check out their latest episodes on hopemediakenya.org.
You can now listen to select Hope FM programs on your favorite podcast streaming platform or directly on our website www.hopemediakenya.org. Listen and live.
We're back with sports with just 37 days remaining until the highly anticipated WRC Safari Rally kicks off. Preparations are in full swing for Kenyan rally driver Nikhil Sachania and his team. In an exclusive interview, Nikhil has shared his insights into their readiness for the event. The Safari Rally will take place during the Easter weekend from the 28th to the 31st of March with the flag off at the Kenyatta International Convention Center in Nairobi.
This is the third year running with KCB. I think KCB has been with rallying for so long in Kenya. It's kind of like a staple food kind of thing where KCB, if there's no KCB, there's no rallying. So yeah, I'm really proud that they've selected me again to represent them for this major event. 37 days left for the Safari, the main event to launch. We've started preparations with the car. We recently had our KCB launch. We were just waiting for all those nitty-gritties to finish. And the parts are all more or less here. It's a matter of now stripping the car down over the next week and putting it back together.
So I'm mentally preparing myself for the rally. It takes a toll on the body. Sitting inside the car with no cushioning or anything like that. When you're going at really high speeds, it does take a toll on the body itself. So just mentally preparing myself from now, lots of water, hydration.
And KCB RFC is set to entertain fourth-placed Kenya Harlequins in a Kenya Cup duel this weekend at the KCB Sports Club in Ruaraka. Head coach Curtis Olago said the boys are in good shape and confident of a win. The Bankers, who are yet to lose a match this season, have been on a good run, winning their last 8 matches. Currently, the Curtis Olago-led outfit are sitting second on the table with 39 points, behind league leaders Cabras, who have garnered 40 points so far. After the weekend's fixture, KCB will face heavyweights Menengai Oilers and Cabras Sugar respectively in the next 2 Kenya Cup matches.
It's going to be an interesting encounter. I know Queens are going to give us a show, but we are ready to match them up and even to be on top of them. We've been working on our weaknesses and also improving on our strengths, and I think we're ready for the weekend.
If we go to the records, they are the good games that people will come to watch, games that have a lot of history behind them. So for us, it's just a challenge for the new guys who are in the system, who are playing Queens. I think the main focus is just to keep on what they have been doing, to drive themselves and just to keep the mental and keep driving on whatever we want them to achieve as a team. At least we were able to see what they're able to do on the best day. So we saw them play Cabras the other time. So it's a plus for us just to focus on the things that we can do better on ourselves and the other things that we can deny them from doing. So ours is just to focus on ourselves mostly and do the things that we need to do right and to focus on their strength and to try and deny them some of the things they were doing better over the weekend.
That's how we end Newswatch tonight. Many thanks for your company during the newscast. I have been your anchor, Melissa Oduor, together with Boniface Mureithi. Have a good night.